What's up guys, it's Daz here, but you don't really care. With Zelda Wii U being revealed in a 40-second teaser trailer, there's been a lot of speculation on the internet over where exactly the new Zelda Wii U game will be placed in the official timeline. And as the title implies, I will be going over how and why I think the new game will take place before the first chronological game in the timeline, Skyward Sword. Now as a disclaimer, these ideas are not entirely of my own, and I am simply consolidating the information that I read from multiple articles and sources, and I'm going to combine that all into a single YouTube video, since I haven't actually seen one on this website yet. That being said, I've also inputted a little bit of my own thoughts into this theory, so there's a little bit of everything in there really. And as you'd expect, there are spoilers, mainly for Skyward Sword, Wind Waker, and the original Legend of Zelda story, which has not been adapted into a game yet. Finally, I'd like to say this video was made in July of 2014, so at this point, the teaser trailer is the only information we have. If more information has been released since this video being made, please don't shout about me being wrong, I have no way of knowing right now. Anyway, enough disclaimers, it's time to dig into this theory. So right off the bat, I'd like to address your attention to the Hyrule Historia. Yeah, we're getting fancy. In there, the original story of The Legend of Zelda is described. Gather round everybody, I'm about to tell a story. Once upon a time, far, far away in the past, there was a great war. A great war which duelled the goddess Hylia against the evil figure called Demise. The two were fairly evenly matched, despite Hylia being a goddess, but she was struggling to keep up the fight. Hylia needed a guardian while she was making preparations to save humanity and seal Demise away. It was at this point where Hylia discovered the original Link, who had been framed and imprisoned in a castle. It was at this moment that Link agreed to become Hylia's hero, and with Link as her guardian, Hylia was able to successfully save everyone, and Demise was sealed away. However, all was not gained, for Hylia was weakened to the point of death, and Link had not survived the battle. He perished just as the war was over. Saddened by the sacrifice, Hylia cast a spell so that Link would be reincarnated alongside her new vessel and live in peace. Hylia's vessel reincarnated to become Zelda, whilst Link became the Link we've seen across time. But during the events of Skyward Sword, Demise had escaped his seal, and just before being sealed away for good, Demise cast a curse which allowed him to be reincarnated along with Zelda and Link in the form of Ganon. It is with that the three become a reoccurring legend between a boy, a goddess, and an evil man, spread across all time. Okay, story time's over, but how does this relate to Zelda Wii U? Well, many, including myself, have come to believe that this original story is the basis of the Zelda game. And here's some supporting evidence, or at least, evidence that the game occurs before Skyward Sword. So first of all, Link is not wearing his typical green tunic. Why? Maybe because the green tunic has not become a staple in the legend yet. The legend starts here. At this point, Link is just a regular guy, maybe a hunter, but still no legendary hero just yet. The design of this large robot also seems incredibly reminiscent of the robots found in the Lanayru Desert in Skyward Sword, but they only function in the distant past of Skyward Sword, using the time stones. But there's more evidence for this robot and its odd technology. It is sentient. How do we know this? Well, we can see that it can perceive and feel emotions. Where is this shown? Well, when the robot first appears, we can see it scanning its surroundings looking for Link, so it can clearly perceive its surroundings and act accordingly. But where does it feel emotions? Well, look closely during the fight. We can see that the robot is missing a tentacle, implying that Link has fought this mech before, so perhaps this robot is seeking revenge. It is angry, furious in fact. So much so it sprints directly towards the hero. It blasts its lasers sporadically in the forest and smashes hard into walls out of pure anger. This robot is a sentient being. And where else do we see sentient robots? In the past of Lanayru Desert in the form of the robot workers. Gameplay wise, this could also come into play with the massive overworld. Maybe if you attack an enemy and leave the area, perhaps it will come looking for you depending on the enemy, searching for vengeance. Not to mention the colouring of Link's blue garb relates to the Lanayru province. From this, I've deducted that this location is the Lanayru province, before it became a desert. After all, the official website stated the place was once a lush green landscape. Now look at Link's arrow. It has some kind of technology that uses energy as an extra source of power. Where else do we see energy-based weapons? The past of Lanayru Desert. Now going on to GameXplain's trailer analysis, they mention an intriguing correlation between this game and Princess Mononoke. For one, the main character rides a noble steed and is predominantly blue. The villagers wear farming clothes and use wooden lookout towers to look for danger, much like the villagers in the trailer. Plus, the main character's weapon of choice is a bow and arrow for this specific monster. However, from this event, Oshitaka gets exiled and leaves to explore the world. From there, Game Explained speculated about whether this would in fact happen to Link, and this has been the missing piece connecting this game to the original story. For in the original story, Link was framed and imprisoned, so perhaps instead of being exiled for his actions, Link is instead imprisoned before being approached by Hylia. Or maybe Link is exiled but is framed and imprisoned later in the story. Either way, this version of Link does seem to fit quite well in the early timeline of the franchise. Something else that's interesting to note is that Link's braces look surprisingly similar to Ganondorf and the Gerudos, so perhaps Link has been exploring and collecting equipment from different locations and cultures. This could also explain his technological arrow, as he may have obtained it from the same area that the robot originated from. This could also have been where the missing tentacle came into play. Now, combining all this evidence gives some strong support for the idea that Zelda U will in fact be based before Skyward Sword, and may even be the original story of the entire saga. However, there are also some links to Wind Waker in the nearby timeline, so to keep an open mind, I'll list some evidence for this era too. So firstly, Link's garb looks eerily reminiscent to that of Wind Waker Link prior to wearing the green tunic, so this could be a hand-me-down from that time, making this game post-Wind Waker. If this is the case, then this Zelda game would be the furthest down the timeline yet, which would also supply an explanation as to how and where the technology of this robot came from. Perhaps the technology has just improved that much since then, though there is always the case that the robot did come from before Skyward Sword, but only recently awakened. This can be seen from the moss growing across the robot in the trailer. That's really all the evidence there is for Wind Waker. If this was correct, what would that imply? Well, Wind Waker has a definitive ending to The Legend of Zelda. The King of Hyrule is deemed worthy of the Triforce and is granted the wish of a good future for Link and Zelda. Soon afterwards, Link stabs Ganondorf through the skull, turning him into stone. This, combined with the King's wishes, prevents the reincarnation of Ganondorf. It can even be seen in the future games from Wind Waker, Phantom Hourglass and Spirit Tracks, as there is no Triforce or Ganon in either games. The cycle has ended. So how will this affect Zelda U? Well, firstly, the sea engulfing the entire land will have drained by this point, and this location could instead be the refurbished Hyrule. Perhaps some deity felt that Hyrule could once again become a safe, promised land, and so the water was drained away so life could once again thrive. But maybe from there, some character intentionally or unintentionally unseals Ganondorf from his stone seal by removing the Master Sword, perhaps even Link himself after finding it exploring. With this, Ganondorf could once again try to cast evil upon the world. Though if Ganondorf was to stay sealed, then it could be possible that some other evil figure tries to control the land. Still, we only have 40 seconds to go on, so obviously we can't be certain. One other consequence of a Wind Waker sequel will be that the Kokiri tribe and Zora tribe will not exist, as they specifically evolved into the Koroks and Ritos to handle the large amount of seawater. Unless the events occur long after the sea is drained, so then they could have evolved back into Zora and Kokiri forms. Though, as I said, it's still up in the air. And I think that's about a good spot to end it off here. When do you think the game will take place, and why? My name's been Daz, you didn't really care, and I'll see you in a bit.